Welcome to Real Life Mentoring, where we explore real life issues to help you make an authentic difference in the world.
Hi, it's Chris and Christina, and we are going to kick off a session called What is Mentoring? Do I need to say anything else on that?
Well, we recently hosted a mentoring workshop in the capital city of our state.
Yeah.
And we had about 50.
In the capital city of our state.
Does that sound too dramatic?
We can say in Oklahoma City.
Okay, Oklahoma City, sorry. But we had such great feedback already. We've had such great feedback. But one of the aspects or one of the meetings we've had with participants said, guys, this is such good material. It is so much. It's all so good.
Yeah, it's rich. Take your time with it.
Let's take our time with it. But we also have clarified with people, guys, this is a workbook for a workshop. It's good material. We only have so much time to devote to each section. So that's part of what we're going to do with this series.
Yeah.
We're going to take it piece by piece to give you a simplified understanding of being a mentor.
If you've been listening for a while, I think you will. This will resonate, the things that we're going to talk about today about what mentoring is. We've talked about it long enough. If this is your first time, we want to kick off the series by really breaking down what mentoring is. And sometimes it'll be giving you illustrations of what it's not. It's not counseling. It's not coaching. We're going to get into all of those. But so today we're only going to talk about 4 points. The first point is this. What is mentoring? Well, before you can even jump into the whole mentoring thing, I think it's important that you understand that your life has the potential to influence others. Do you want to unpack that? I know I say unpack.
You want to say unpack a lot.
I'm not going to say unpack anymore.
We're going to delete that from this podcast. My life has the potential to impact others. I think about relationships, obviously.
Right.
Relationships that have had a deep impact on me. What I mean by that is that they've touched my soul. It's not just a passing relationship. Hey, how are you doing? I'm fine. How are you? It is words have been said to me. I've been listened to. I've been cared for. My story's been heard enough that person's influence in my life makes a difference.
Right. And I think if we took another step to answer this question or to address this question is, so what? Your life has the potential to impact others. Because that's what we see that Jesus did. And we are Jesus followers. We read the Bible and we go, oh my goodness, he was sent to earth for a purpose. His life, one man's life, affected history. And so our lives have the potential to impact others. Recently, we interviewed Carl Gully. He is a leader within the Antioch movement in Waco, Texas. And he talked about the power of one woman. Her name was Mercedes, and how she affected their whole entire family. And Mercedes, her life impacted the life of the woman who she was mentoring, which was Carl's mom, and then 5 brothers. All of them worked in ministry. All of them are impacting one life. You call it the ripple effect, right?
Right. I also think about this. So my life has the potential to impact others. I want to say that a few times during this episode, Christina, to really get the point across. If I tell you, this may sound silly, but I give you the word Elvis Presley. Tell me what you think about that. What comes to mind, rather?
Yeah, rock and roll, white jumpsuits, died early, 1976.
He died in 1977, by the way.
77.
I know that. August. Why do I remember these details? I don't know.
Right.
But the point is, if you ask our daughters who are 20, 24, and 28, they know a little bit about who Elvis was. So he made an impact in the music industry, right? Which is really important. People are not going to know Chris Elledge on this earth like they will Elvis.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. We're not talking about making an impact. We're talking about making an impact personally on people's lives.
Yeah. If you're listening, think back to a teacher through your whole 12 years career. Is there a teacher that stands out? That teacher made an impact. I always go to Mrs. Wiley. She was my second and my third grade teacher. And Mrs. Wiley made a huge impact on a second and third grade teacher. I will never forget, she looked at my mom at a parent-teacher conference and said,
"We're in trouble."
No,
she didn't say that.
Run! No. She looked at my mom and she said, you know what I love about Christina? I can show her how to do something and then she's got it. You just have to show her. I'm a visual learner. And when I was in geometry or even in college and I thought, wait a minute, I'm a visual learner. Mrs. Wiley said, if somebody shows me, then I can get it. to this day, I'm a 55-year-old woman. She has made an impact on my life.
My teacher said the same thing. They said, we can show Chris something 2 or 3 times, and he finally gets it.
Still may not get it.
Well, that's rude. It just depends what it is. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of teachers, my 5th and 6th grade
Speaking of
teacher,
teachers.
as you did, Mrs. Sharon Pinson.
Oh.
I went to this little country school. That sounds so old, and I guess it is.
Yeah.
But she made such an impact in my life. And I go, how did that happen? She taught the same courses to everybody that was in my grade, but I felt like she knew me personally, and she took time. I mean, she asked me personal questions. She took me on a walk around the school one day. It was the last day I was going to be at this school because we were moving again, as we moved many times in my family, and I hated it because it was just difficult. And she spoke into my life as a 6th grade boy and said, Chris, you do well with people you meet. You'll always do well everywhere you go because you know how to connect with people.
Yeah.
I was a shy kid, insecure, but she saw that in me.
Right.
Here I am, this many years later, and Christina, this is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And she's a piece of that.
You know, as I'm reading this statement, my life has the potential to impact others, I think it's important to say positively impact. We've all been impacted by people in negative ways, but in positive ways. When I think about what the Bible says about our lives, Scripture says our life is like a breath. It's a short time on earth. And man, to make an impact in another person's life, that you walk with them and they give it away, like your life outgrows yourself, right? 100 years from now, not a soul is going to remember my name, but because I've given tools and walked alongside other women, that they will do that with their children and hopefully their children with their grandchildren. 100 years from now, somebody's going to be impacted by me, although they will maybe, most likely, never hear my name.
So if I make this statement, everyone's life will have an impact on someone else. Yes or no? What do you think?
I think that's a true statement, because even the hermit who lives by himself, does he make an impact on somebody?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well.
So can that statement be true?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do believe this. I think I have to be deliberate and intentional for my life to have long-lasting, positive impact in people's lives.
Yeah.
If I just sit back and go, well, I am who I am, it'll just kind of happen.
Yeah.
I don't think so, because I've experienced too many relationships, even in my own family, where I was not impacted positively by people older than me, because they didn't even take the time to get to know me. I'm not being critical, but I think if I want my life to make an impact on others, it's a choice I can make today to go, if I'm going to do that, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to do it?
Right. So I think before you even get started to unpack what is mentoring.
Did you say unpack again?
I don't know.
I did.
You
did.
have to believe that your life has the potential, which kind of goes into number 2, that mentoring can lead to life-changing relationships. Does that sound dramatic? I think so, because it is.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, for some people, it may sound dramatic. Mentoring can lead to life-changing relationships. Let's talk about one or two that we've experienced.
Well, I've been the recipient of mentoring. If you've listened to this a number of times, you've heard me refer to Marty. That was a life-changing relationship. Marty now is in heaven, but for the years that she walked with me and mentored me through me being a new mom and a young mom, and then watching my girls grow up in the different stages, her influence on me changed my life. How long has she been gone now?
About 1.5 years is all. At this point, this is March of 2024.
And her life lives on in me. I recently had a young woman that I am super close to. She said, I never met Marty, but I'm the recipient of what she gave to you. Isn't that incredible? And my young friend, the people she's giving her life away, they may never meet me, and long after I'm in heaven, they will be the recipient of what I gave to my friend. What about you?
Well, I have a friend who's older than I am, and he's very deliberate about asking me how I'm really doing. He'll tell me things like, hey, I want you to know I am really praying for you today. I want to know what's going on with you because I care. You go, that ties in with life-changing. That changes me.
Yeah.
That reminds me I'm not on this planet alone trying to figure everything out. You and I have a really good relationship in our marriage. But it also helps to have other people outside our marriage, right? It helps to have another man. As I'm a man, for a man to really come after me and say, Chris, I want to know you. I want to ask you how things are going. I want to help you develop. I want to help you grow. That changes me.
Yeah.
That changes my life. And it has the overflow on you and our girls, our son-in-law, and other people that I mentor.
Yeah. Other life-changing relationships you can think of?
I have, there's an older gentleman. He is the classic, what I would say classic Viennese.
Alfred.
Gentleman in Vienna, Austria, and it's called the Viennese culture, is what the word is. But he is probably early 80s or so now. He's directly impacted my life over the last several years because one thing he does for me, he sits and he listens to me so well. And he doesn't give me a quick answer. When I have a frustration or a difficult questions, he sits there with his coffee in that proper-looking formal living room of his, and he listens, and it's quiet. He says, well, Chris, what do you think about this?
Yeah, that's a good point for later on, that mentors don't answer mentees' questions. A good mentor will listen, ask questions back. Yeah, that's another thing we'll get into. But yeah, his presence in your life is not because, Alfred, help me. Do this, do this, do this. It's been because he's listened. He's asked you good questions.
I will say, we talk about life-changing relationships. There was one day we had an appointment when we were living there in Vienna, and I went up to his apartment. I rang the bell and no answer. And Alfred is very prompt, always ready for me. And no answer, so I rang it a few more times. I thought, well, I guess he's not here. And I began to walk away, and then I heard the door open. He goes, Chris. And he looked at me, he opened the door, and he had his PJs on, his robe.
Oh.
His hair was not combed, and I thought, wow. And he didn't look good. I don't mean didn't look good because he wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
He looked discouraged. He goes, Chris, were we supposed to meet today? I said, yes. I said, Alfred, no problem. Let's reschedule. And I started to walk away. He said, no, come on in. I said, no, really. So it's about life-changing relationships. He impacted me. He had me come in. He goes, if you're okay, I'm just going to stay in my robe. And he sat down. He got coffee for us, and he said, I need you today.
Oh.
Yeah. He was really discouraged and overwhelmed with something with business, and it just had worn on him time and time again because they had their own business. And I sat there with him and listened. And he said, in fact, I have a phone call probably in the next 20, 30 minutes, so I'll need to pause when the phone rings and take it. I said, no problem. We talked more about his issue, and I think it's God. I had this idea. I said, well, Alfred, could you not ask this person, this other company that you have to work with in order to get this accomplished to do this? He goes, Chris, I've not thought about that. And so we talked some more. The phone rings. He's on this business call. He gets off the phone, and he said, Chris, I asked him if we could do it that way. And the guy said, sure. His relief on his face. And I tell you that story because relationships that impact other relationships, it goes both ways many times.
Well, mentoring relationships are two-way. It's not, oh, I am the mentor. I will now impact you or give you a life-changing experience. It's both, mentor and mentee. I love that. Let's talk about tools and techniques can build effective mentors. We've geared this language specifically for a workshop, but I think it's really important when we talk about mentoring that you can use a tool. You can use a certain Bible study or a tool, not as your primary way to connect, but a way to connect.
A way.
Yeah. Sometimes it's helpful for me to go through a certain study or go through an app together and go, okay, when we get together, let's talk about what is God showing you here? What's been difficulty here with a specific tool? Yeah.
I attended a seminar a few years ago on emotional intelligence. And
How'd that go for you?
I'm so intelligent. I don't have the figures in front of me, but it wasn't too bad. But what it did, it stirred in me. I thought, man, this is so good for me. And then my brain goes, you know what? I want to use what I'm given in situations like this to help mentor other men.
Yeah.
And so I've done that with some guys I've mentored. I go, okay, let's look at what would be called your emotional intelligence. And I've never had anyone do that with me before, one-on-one, but that's an example. I go to the seminar not thinking it's for mentoring.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Music is so important to me. It's in my DNA, but I will hear a song sometimes, and one of the lines may resonate with me about something I need to tell a guy, or it'll stir a thought in me.
So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say that, part of mentoring, it's not just sitting down and, what do we talk about today? But we're going to, I was going to say unpack. We're going to talk about the details of that later. But there are tools and techniques you can use. One of the things early on, I remember one time meeting with a young woman, and she said, this is going to sound really strange. How do you study the Bible? Could you give me some tips on how to study the Bible? I don't know where to start. I don't even know what to take notes on. So I said, here's what I do. What feels good about this that you could reproduce? That's part of mentoring. And tools, there are tools and techniques that you don't have to invent the wheel. Use something that's out there. There's so many good tools. Just go online.
In our workshop, one of the aspects we talk about is body language, and how to approach, how to position yourself and listen well so you don't make the person feel uncomfortable. So let's say this is a technique that you are listening to someone that you're mentoring and they're sharing something really personal with you, and you can just tell this is awkward for them.
Right. They're shrinking back.
Yeah. And so I've learned, adjust my body language, my facial expressions, anything that I can to help them feel more comfortable. And the simple example would be that I'm thinking about is this. Instead of me staring straight at them while they're telling me something really difficult in their life, I turn my chair to the side so I can glance back and forth at them.
Right.
You go, that is not complicated. It's not complicated.
No, that's a technique you can use.
It's a matter of continuing to go, what can I learn? What tool can I learn today?
Yeah.
What technique can I learn to help me be more effective so that I can impact people deeply?
One of the things that I have found so helpful, especially maybe the first time I'm meeting with somebody, to find out if they're an extrovert or an introvert. If they don't know, there is a simple test you can take online. She can pull it up on her phone and figure it out right there.
I agree with you. Why would you say this? But for the listeners, why would you say that's important?
I think you just can discover so much about a person. For example, introverts, people wear them out. And so if she's had a busy week, I don't need to try to fit in, hey, let's grab coffee this week that you're so busy. An extrovert would go, oh, yeah, because people energize them. Introverts, no way. She needs to know that I'm an introvert. I present like an extrovert. I am outgoing. But a telltale sign of an introvert is how they recharge. Do they recharge with people? Do they recharge alone?
Another telltale sign is you hide in the closet, right? To get away from people.
Get away! So I recharge alone. She needs to know that so that when I tell her, hey, I've had a big people week, I'm going to not be on my phone for the next 2 days. So if you need me, just call, but I'm not going to respond to text.
Wait a minute. I'm not going to be on my phone. Just call me.
Well,
I know what you mean.
Right.
I'm harassing.
So that's just a simple little tool or technique that is so helpful.
I was mentoring a guy several years ago, and I looked at him, and we'd had been doing this for a while, so we knew one another, and there was trust built, but he just wasn't into it, I could tell. I mean, his body language was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, I said, hey, is this too much today? He goes, it is. Chris, I said, what's going on? He goes, it's nothing personal. I'm just so tired. I'm tired physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what?
Then you need a nap.
Let's stop.
Yeah.
Let's reschedule another time. It's no stress. You go, how's that a technique that you will look for signs like that?
Be aware.
Be aware.
Yeah.
This person can't handle it right now.
Right.
What else, Christina?
Well, I think one of the things that we spend some time talking about when we're mentoring, we always say that we mentor from a biblical foundation, meaning we use the principles of the Bible to guide our mentoring. But when you're mentoring, it has the potential for relationship-based discipleship.
Which is what?
So we can give you a fancy definition. The short answer is...
It's helping another person of faith grow.
That's exactly it. So it can be practical, it can be personal, meaningful, and effective. What I mean is, I'm not meeting with somebody, let's say we've been meeting for a few months. She is a believer. She has the same faith that I do, and we want to help. She wants to go on an adventure of learning more about Scripture. That goes into discipleship. Now, will I meet with her and we do a study, and at 42 minutes we close the study and meet the next week? Could be, but practical could be I'm running errands and I've got 2 hours of time that I'm going to be in the car, I'm going to call her and say, hey, come with me. What are you getting out of that study as we're going through the Sonic drive-thru or whatever? It can be personal, where I share my own personal journey with God, the goods, the bads, and she does too. And meaningful, that does become meaningful when you open up your heart to someone else. And then effective, anytime anybody has taken time to see me, to know where I am in my walk with God, my goodness, is that effective. Thoughts on that?
Sometimes people can be given the perspective because of experience that God is dull and boring and critical and exhausting.
Yeah.
All right? And we want you to know, not at all.
Yeah.
There's so much more to God than we can even try to explain right now. But when I think about relationship-based discipleship, helping someone come to know God so personally, so intimately.
And you learning from them.
And you learning from them.
Yeah.
Why do we have to make it complicated?
Yeah.
Let's keep it practical. I wanted someone, when I was growing up, we attended church, I wanted someone just to talk to me about practical aspects of God, of the Bible, about how to live this life.
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, sweet Sunday school teacher of mine, Ramona Romines, I had so depended on her. Anything would happen, I would call her and say, can you pray? Can you pray? She allowed that for a little while, and then she said, Christina, I will, but I want you to pray first. You don't have to come and take this issue to me to pray for. God hears your prayer. Man, was that ever effective. So you better believe whenever the next issue came down the pike, I was like, Ramona says I can pray. And she set a new trajectory. Yeah. And she taught me how to pray, which was wonderful. Yeah.
Well, I just want to share these words again. I want to help you guys be practical, personal, meaningful, and effective with people as you reach out to mentor people.
Yeah.
Let's not make it complicated. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
And it's not boring. Yeah. What else, Christina?
I think that's it. So you're in for a real treat. This is part one of who knows how many sessions this will be, but of what is mentoring. We're going to look specifically at things that we hope will stir your appetite to give your life away, to invest in others, to jump into mentoring. And if you are currently mentoring, we hope you'll continue this journey with us as we talk about some things that maybe you've not experienced or will affirm you in your journey of mentoring others. Anything else?
Well, I want to close with this.
Okay.
My life has the potential, yours as well,
Yeah.
to really impact other people. I want to make a choice today to do that.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. If this has been beneficial to you and you're thinking of somebody right now, oh my goodness, I think so-and-so would enjoy this. Would you share this with them? Would you like and subscribe on the forum that you listen to us? And if you're interested in donating toward making the podcast just like this kind of content available, you can look on the website. It's FahrenheitRealLifeMentoring.org.
Actually, it's not. It's FahrenheitMentoring.org.
Aha! FahrenheitMentoring.org. We'll give you some details in the text, but we thank you for choosing to listen to us today.